I'm not really starting to like how many things apply to me in this list. Hi guys, welcome back to Faith on the Spectrum. My name is Beth and this is Faith on the Spectrum. Oh man, okay. So as you all know by the channel description and from my intro video, I am autistic. I was diagnosed when I was 4 years old. I started following another Christian autistic YouTuber. Her name is Stephanie Bethany, and you guys should go sub to her. She did a video with the Samantha Craft unofficial Asperger's and autism checklist. So I went through it a few times, but I'm not really I didn't really go too in depth with it. I am really curious to kind of see, I think that there are, I actually haven't checked how many questions there are or how many symptoms there are, but we'll see. Yes, it's from The Art of Autism, written by Samantha Craft, who is also a psychologist, and she also is diagnosed with Asperger's. So it's supposed to be more of a springboard for discussion and more awareness into the female experience, and it is not intended to be used as a diagnostic method. I already have my diagnosis, so I don't need to be told that it's, that again. But yeah, let's just go. Section A, deep thinkers. Number 1, a deep thinker. I would say, yeah, I tend to think pretty deeply about a lot of things. A lot of my friends would say that. Number 2, a prolific writer drawn to poetry. I was strongly connected to poetry when I was younger, and I wrote it a lot. I don't really write it anymore. I still enjoy a good poem, and when the inspiration strikes, sometimes I'll, write a poem on my phone or something. They don't really get much farther than that, though. Number 3, highly intelligent. I'll have to do another video about this, but yes, I was extremely advanced in English and reading from the moment I could read, which was at a stupid early age. I would consider myself very highly intelligent. On the ACTs, I got a 30 overall, and for English and reading and writing or whatever it was, this was 7 years ago almost. I got 35s on both of those, and then for science and math, I got 27s. So I think I would want to think that I'm pretty intelligent. I just don't always act like it. Number 4, sees things at multiple levels, including her own thinking processes. I would say, yeah, to an extent. I definitely like to look at things in layers and systems, like Brofenbrenner's social, ecological, I'm gonna think of the name of it after I record this. Number 5, analyzes existence, the meaning of life, and everything continually. Yeah. Number 6, serious and matter-of-fact in nature. I would not think so. I think I tend to like to get to more matter-of-fact things in conversations earlier than a lot of other people, but I like to think that I tend to have a lighthearted approach to a lot of things in life. Even when it's difficult, I try to be optimistic. Number 7, doesn't take things for granted. No, I mean, that's true. I mean, yes to number 7. I'll have to upload another video about it, but when I was 17, I was very close to death from pancreatitis. So I really, I don't take anything for granted, guys. You never know what's gonna happen next. Number 8, doesn't simplify. I think I'm pretty guilty of that. I tend to speak more complexly than I probably need to, and it's hard for me to get into the general from the specific. That's hard for me to do. So I would say, yeah. Number 9, everything is complex. Yeah, everything is so confusing. Some things in life I think are really simple though, so I can see yes and no for number 9. Number 10, often gets lost in own thoughts and checks out, blank stare. Yeah. I don't really tend to do the blank stare unless it's something I have a very hard time talking about or something that's uncomfortable for me to talk about, then I will probably do that check out, or I tend to look past people, kind of like what I'm doing right now. Section B, innocent. Number 1, naive. No one likes to admit that they're naive. It was really a lot worse when I was younger, but I think that I tend to look at a lot of things with naivety. Like, I just want to believe that, people are good and they don't lie. But I know that that's extremely naive, so as much as I don't want to admit it, as much as nobody wants to admit it, yeah, I'd say I'm pretty naive. Number 2, honest. I literally just told you that I'm naive, so I feel like that should tell you everything. I am very honest. I am a terrible, 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 terrible liar. Number 3, experiences trouble with lying. Yeah, I mean, that goes along with number 2, I think. So yes, I am a terrible liar. If I don't say it, it's written all over my face. Number 4, finds it difficult to understand manipulation and disloyalty. Yeah, I have a very difficult time with that, I think. Especially, because it's happened to me, so I don't know. Number 5, finds it difficult to understand vindictive behavior and retaliation. Yeah, I don't know if they mean vindictive and retaliation as in a revenge, because I don't know. I feel like for me, I've never been in a situation where, I seek out revenge, seek out karma or whatever. But I guess I can understand in some instances. I just couldn't understand it for myself. Number 6, easily fooled and conned. That's another thing that nobody really likes to admit. I can be pretty, I don't know. As I get older, I definitely am able to read between the lines a little bit more, what people might be saying. It gets kind of hard sometimes, but as far as being conned, I think I keep my wits about myself, and I'm usually able to kind of wait, stop, before it gets to the point where I am scammed or swindled or whatever bad word you want to say. Number 7, feelings of confusion and being overwhelmed. Yeah! All the time! Number 8, feelings of being misplaced and or from another planet. Yeah. I definitely feel like I may not necessarily belong, that I'm not really from this universe or this period of time, I guess, if you want to go on that another planet route. But I know now that I am misplaced, I am not of this world, because, Romans 12:2 is to not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but to be transformed, because we are not, we're on our way home, This is just our resting place. Number 9, feelings of isolation. I'm not really starting to like how many things apply to me in this list. Yeah, it's really, really easy for me to feel isolated. I definitely do value me time, but I'm such a people person. And I think especially if, the pandemic, when I wasn't really allowed to be a people person, that was really hard. When we didn't leave our house for about a month, my dad only left to go to work. Yeah, with that and just, I think a lot of reasons, I definitely experience those feelings of isolation, because there's a lot of times I think I'm the only one dealing with this, which I really don't think is true, but it feels like it. Number 10, abused or taken advantage of as a child but didn't think to tell anyone. Luckily and thankfully, I was never abused in any way or taken advantage of in any way as a child, and I think if that would have happened, I wouldn't have been able to be quiet about it. So, all right, section C, escape and friendship. I'm probably really not gonna like this. All right, number 1, survives overwhelming emotions and senses by escaping in thought or action. Yeah. Number 2, escapes regularly through fixations, obsessions, and over-interest in subjects. Definitely the fixation and obsession part. That's definitely been one of my vices my entire life, is I can just become really obsessive about things. Even when I don't try to be, and I try to play it cool, but I'm a terrible liar, so what can I say? Number 3, escapes routinely through imagination, fantasy, and daydreaming. See, I actually don't really do that. I think I can get lost in my own thoughts, but I don't do it routinely. The only times I really do that are when I'm trying to fall asleep. I tend to dream up dance routines, when I hear a song or I'm listening to a song, I'm like, okay, I can do that. But I feel like a lot of people do that, so I think that people, regardless of diagnoses or lack thereof, they do that from time to time, so I don't know. Number 4, escapes through mental processing. I think that depends. I maybe I just don't understand the question too well. But yeah, I feel like it kind of depends. Number 5, escapes through the rhythm of words. I don't really know what that means, but I know that there are times like when I'm talking to people, like I haven't been doing it, but you know, when I go through conversations or like lines from TV shows, I often count the words in the sentence, and that kind of brings me comfort. But I mean, when I'm like talking a lot like this, I tend to not do that, but if it's like chill out, then I kind of do. Number 6, philosophizes continually. Not continually, but I definitely do it a lot. Number 7, had imaginary friends in youth. I did. Up until I was probably 8, 9, probably. I don't know. A lot of kids have imaginary friends, though, so. Number 8, imitates people on television or in movies. I did that a lot when I was younger. I was very severely echolalic, which means that I would copy what people said back to me or what I heard on TV. And like I did that a lot with like Winnie the Pooh or Rugrats or Blue's Clues. Like I did that all the time. I don't really do that as much anymore though, I don't think. I like to think I try to be pretty individualistic. Number 9, treated friends as pawns in youth. Ergo, friends were students, consumers, members. No, I don't think so. I just try to see them as friends. I don't know why people would do that. Number 10, makes friends with older or younger females, more so than friends her age, often in young adulthood. When I was in like middle school, high school, my friends were all older than me. They were all a grade or 2 above me. Some of them were 3 grades above me from my youth group. But now, you know, as a non-traditional student, I'm an older young adult in college, and you know, gonna be turning 25, you know, in March. A lot of my friends are, you know, just turned 21 or turned 22, or some of them even younger than that. I think that in a lot of ways I'm mature. I've always been a little bit mature for my age, but in other ways I've been immature. I think that's just really part of autism. I really do, and it might just be parts of life. Number 11, imitates friends or peers in style, dress, attitude, interests, and manner, sometimes speech. I wouldn't say necessarily. I know if I like hang around some people for a while, like I might pick up like some of their phrases or whatever, or some of their habits. I don't know. It's hard for me to think of an example right now, but I feel like a lot of people do that. Number 12, obsessively collects and organizes objects. Maybe. I don't really have like an actual like collection of things. I like to collect keychains and pins, and when I was a little bit younger, I like to collect stickers and silly bands. I don't know if everybody remembers those. They're so silly. Maybe that's why they're called that. But I definitely really liked those silly bands, and I would talk all the time. Like I have like 100 of them on my wrist. I'll find a picture sometime, but it's pretty cringeworthy. 13, Mastered Imitation. Yeah, honestly. I don't know how. I just, you know, have been good at that. Like, I can, you know, repeat back what people say to me, how they say it. Like, when I'm, like, learning a new language, it really is not difficult for me to pick up on, like, accents or things like that. And I always have been actually pretty good at acting, so. Number 14, escapes by playing the same music over and over. Yeah. Maybe not even just one song, like maybe 1 or 2 songs or just a playlist, but I definitely, you know, will focus on a song over and over and over and over and over again. If I really need like that, I don't know. Number 15, escapes through a relationship, imagined or real. Maybe in some senses, but I mean, I don't really know. It's kind of hard to say. Number 16, numbers bring ease. Could be numbers associated with patterns, calculations, lists, time, and or personification. I don't really think so. Numbers has never really been like a big focus of mine. I mean, I've been good with working with them sometimes, but I don't know. Number 17, escapes through counting, categorizing, organizing, rearranging. Yeah, definitely. I like to categorize things. It's hard for me to make like shopping lists a lot of the times because I feel like I need to have sections of where I should go for stuff because it makes so much more sense to my brain if I categorize the fruits like with the fruits or if I have them in the air or like in order of where they are in the store. I think that's a helpful tool for like a lot of people though. 18, escapes into rooms at parties. Yeah. A lot of the times I do. It's not even that I'm necessarily like tired or I don't want to interact. I just kind of might need a breather. But for the most part, like my friends are all really understanding about that, so that's nice. Number 19. I can't even read this because it's like, yeah, cannot relax or rest without many thoughts. My mind never shuts up. It's exhausting. It really is. And number 20, everything has a purpose. Yeah, I think that kind of goes with my Christian philosophies too, though. I don't believe in like chance, coincidence is the language of heaven. So I think everything does have a purpose. All right, section D, comorbid attributes. I did read through some of these and I'm like, oh, okay. All right, number 1, OCD. That was actually my original diagnosis when I was really young. They thought that I just had severe OCD. But the problem is that, the obsessive tendencies were there, but not really the compulsive tendencies. I don't feel like I have to I have to do something or I'll never be productive in anything. Number 2, sensory issues. Sight, sound, texture, smells, taste, might have synesthesia, or whatever it's called. Synesthesia? I don't know. I've seen this word hundreds and hundreds of times, but I never will say it right. It looks like it's synesthesia. I always call it synesthesia, and I'm sure that's probably not right. But in any case, no, I don't have that. But I have had sensory issues with almost everything. Particularly texture and bright lights. I can handle them for a little bit, the bright lights, but after a while I'm like, nah sis. Certain textures, like, I don't do well with. Until I was probably 15 or 16 years old, I had to cut the tags out of every single item of clothing I owned. I could not deal with it. If it's tagless, I'm probably gonna go for it. Some of my work shirts, like they have like little tags on the inside next to the buttons and I've had to cut those off because they get scratchy. Like, I hate top sheets. I absolutely despise that feeling. I don't know why. I just hate top sheets. So every sheet set I get, we put the top sheet away to use for like guests, or if it's really old and they don't want to use it anymore, I'll just take it for sewing. Number 3, generalized anxiety. Yep, you know that meme where someone's texting and says like, hey, do you have anxiety prime? And then asterisk Amazon Prime. The person says, yeah, I have both. That's me. Yes, anxiety prime. Never late on the deliveries, never gets that address wrong. So generalized anxiety disorder is another thing I was diagnosed with. Number 4, sense of pending danger or doom. Not really. I don't really feel like I always need to be in fear or that something's gonna come get me. I really don't live like that, so I think that's a good thing. Number 5, feelings of polar extremes. Depressed / overjoyed, inconsiderate / oversensitive. Yeah, I tend to I don't know, it's so hard for me to find that in between. Either I'm like super duper happy about something or I'm just not. And I think that can be endearing in a few ways, but not in every other way. I don't like that because I can't just have a happy medium. Number 6, poor muscle tone, double jointed and or lacking coordination, may have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and or hypotonia and or POTS. Poor muscle tone, not really. Double jointed, I am hyperjointed in my elbows, so if you're squeamish, look away. And as far as lack of coordination, yeah, like things that I'm focusing on, not really, but other things, yeah, I drop small stuff. If I'm really overwhelmed with something, I definitely drop things more, or I trip over myself a lot. Like, my parents were right. Grace never would have been a name considered for me. Number 7, eating disorders, food obsessions, and or worry about what is eaten. That's something I will have to talk about at another time, but I think I've really moved past that, I think, and it's not really a concern for me anymore, so I think that's a good thing. Number 8, irritable bowel and or intestinal issues. Without getting specific, yeah. Yeah. Number 9, chronic fatigue and or immune challenges. Yes, but not related to autism. Like when I was really little, I would get sick pretty often. But I actually have a pretty good immune system. And as far as chronic fatigue, like when I'm really overwhelmed, like stress really manifests itself physically in me, and I can just get to the point of exhaustion because I'm so stressed out. So sometimes, but not really. Number 10, misdiagnosed or diagnosed with a mental illness. Not misdiagnosed, but when I was 8, I was diagnosed with clinical depression. So that's been something I've lived with most of my life, really. But I've had therapy, I've been on medications, and I've, had a really strong support system. So even, even right now, like I'm actually going through a pretty rough stuff, but I'm making the best of it, and I have people that love me, so it's gonna be all right. Number 11. Experiences multiple physical symptoms, perhaps labeled hypochondriac. Yeah, definitely. It's really stress related. It gets so bad when I'm super stressed. So I try not to stress about things, but that's like telling a fish not to swim sometimes. Number 12, questions place in the world. Do you mean all the time? Because yeah. Number 13, often drops small objects. That's also what I was just talking about. It's like it knows what I'm thinking. If I'm like overthinking about things, then yeah, probably. But on a general basis, I don't think so. Number 14, wonders who she is and what is expected of her. That's another, do you mean all the time? Because yeah. Number 15, searches for right and wrong. I definitely think about, do the next right thing. I think that was from Frozen too, and I've always really liked that, do the next right thing. Number 16, since puberty has had bouts of depression, may have PMDD. And PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which is extreme depression around the time a female who has periods gets their period. So yeah, but even before puberty, I really struggled with that, but it definitely got worse afterwards. Number 17, flicks and rubs fingernails, picks scalp and skin, flaps hands, rubs hands together, tucks hands under or between. That's a weird thing. Tucking your hands under or between your legs, that's how you keep it warm. I didn't know that was a weird thing. I do that all the time. Keeps closed fists, paces in circles, and or clears throat often. Definitely the fingernails thing. I have been a chronic nail biter. I don't remember a time I didn't go more than 3 weeks without biting my nails. But the clenched fists, not really, as much as clenched body posture. I think in this they're talking about stims, and I'll have to do another video on that. There's so many video ideas that are coming to me in this just from reading through this list. But even right now, my chair it's not a rocking chair, but it has stopper things on the back so that you don't lean all the way back and hit your head and die. But I do rock a lot. I bounce my leg a lot. I crack my knuckles a lot, definitely. But I don't know. I don't really pace in circles. When I'm listening to music, I definitely like that. Or if I'm thinking a lot, I might shake my head. And I only really notice that if somebody tells me. Yeah. All right. My least favorite section, because this is gonna just give you everything that's not right about me. Section E, social interaction. All right, number 1. Friends have ended friendships suddenly without female with AS understanding why and or difficult time making friends. Making friends, I don't really have a difficult time with. But yeah, friendships have just ended suddenly. Or they just, when people change like that and they're not honest with me because they're afraid they're gonna hurt my feelings. Well, you're hurting my feelings a lot more if you just abruptly are hey, I know that we just hung out 3 days ago, but I'm done with you, bye. I'm gonna block you on everything. And it's if I'm just coming on strong, I just, be nice about it, but tell me. It's not a good feeling. It's just not. So sometimes I understand it, sometimes I don't. Number 2, tendency to overshare. Definitely. Number 3, spills intimate details to strangers. Not really, not as much as I used to. Oh man, I was so bad when I was a kid. I definitely have that filter of appropriateness in that manner. Small talk on the bus does not involve, yeah, hi, how are you doing? I'm autistic. I had a really terrible time in school. I almost died when I was 17. Hey, how's your day going? Look at the weather. Like, I don't do stuff like that. So for that, I'm pretty grateful that I, have learned to not do that. Number 4, raised hand too much in class or didn't participate in class. I was accused of being teacher's pet a lot. And it wasn't really until like college that I really started having trouble with being an active participant in class. Number 5, little impulse control with speaking when younger. So I don't have a whole lot of people I still talk to from my like early childhood, like before I moved to where I am now. But they would definitely tell you, yeah, she was kind of weird. She talked a lot. Number 6, monopolizes conversation at times. Yeah. That is such a big problem of mine. And I try to get better at it, and it doesn't seem to work. And then I just don't talk, and then the cycle just repeats itself. I'm trying. Number 7, bring subject back to self. That was actually something that I felt really, really bad about for a really long time. Like, I'm like, I don't want this to be all about me. I'm not gonna hold a conversation hostage and turn your problems into mine. But I saw a thing on Facebook that said that someone else had that problem. It was basically like, I don't mean to sound like I'm self-absorbed when you're telling me something, especially something hard, and I like talk about how it affects me. Like, I'm really just trying to empathize and sympathize, and I'm trying to let you know that I do understand. Maybe not to the exact extent, but to a close enough extent that you can tell me and I probably get it, whatever you're gonna say. So I don't mean to do that as like a reason of like, I don't want to talk about you, I want to talk about me because that's what I'm comfortable with. It's how I relate to people. Number 10, comes across at times as narcissistic and controlling, but is not narcissistic. Not really. Number 9, shares in order to reach out. I'm not really sure what they mean by that question, but maybe. Number 10, often sounds eager and overzealous or apathetic and disinterested. There's no happy medium. I love my life. Number 11, holds a lot of thoughts, ideas, and feelings inside. You have no clue. Number 12, feels as if she is attempting to communicate correctly. Yeah, I definitely think about what I'm saying a lot, and if I'm saying the right things, and if I'm doing the right things, so yeah. I did read number 13 earlier, and I went, because that's definitely been like a huge part of my story and a huge part of why I have a lot of self-esteem issues. Number 13 is obsesses about the potentiality of a relationship with someone, particularly a love interest or a feasible new friendship. Yeah, that's not really something I want to get into too much right now, because I could talk about it forever. And there are times I feel like no matter what, I always struggle with that. And so then I don't want to, I don't know. It's tiring. Number 14, confused by the rules of accurate eye contact, tone of voice, proximity of body, body stance and posture in conversation. I think like when I'm talking to people, like I cross my arms sometimes, or like when I'm sitting here, like I just don't know really what to do with my hands. So I'll like use them to rock back and forth, or I just kind of do this, or I touch my head, or like I seem like I'm like disinterested, and I really don't maintain eye contact with a whole lot of people. So if I do maintain consistent eye contact with you on a regular basis, you should feel pretty special. And I try and tell people that too. I'm like, dude, if I am so thankful that I have someone that because I can't make I don't trust people that like that with my eye contact. So it must mean there's something about you that my soul can find some semblance of peace in. But I'm not really confused about it. I just don't do it very well. I'm a very, that's the thing about female autism, is that autism in general, you don't really think that like they would be really huggy people or loving, like physically affectionate people. But that's such a big thing for me. I don't know. It really depends on what website I go to, but I do the 5 love languages test, and half of them say that my love language is physical affection. Like, hugs are so meaningful to me, or just being in close proximity with a friend is so special. Like, okay. But then other times it's words of affirmation. Those mean a lot to me too. I don't know. So I can definitely seem like I'm like being really like pushy with like being physically, like, friendly with people, but, like, honestly, if you don't like it, just tell me and I'll remember to not do that, because I, would expect the same to happen to me if I'm not in a huggy mood. So if you're not, just tell me. Number 15, conversations are often exhausting. Sometimes, but not usually, actually. I love to talk to people. I mean, I started this YouTube channel because, especially right now with COVID, like, I can't really talk to people in person as often as I used to. 16, questions the actions and behaviors of self and others continually. I think it has a lot more to do with my past experiences, but yeah, I hate that about, like, there's not much I really, like, say I don't like about myself, but I really don't like that about myself, that I feel like I have to be so guarded because of who I am or, like, what I've, like, experienced. So, like, I trust people, but I trust them cautiously. And then even then, I still am like, wait a minute, like, do they really want to be my friend? Do they really want to, like, talk to me? Do they really want to hang out with me? Like, and then I say, shut up. Yes, they do, of course. If they keep talking to you about it, then yeah, they do. So, 17, feels as if missing in conversation gene or thought filter. I don't really understand that one too much, so I'm gonna say no. 18, trained self in social interactions through readings and studying of other people. Well, I mean, I'm studying early childhood education. That's how children learn about social expectations and of conversation. That's just how they learn. So I think that that's the same for absolutely everybody, is they learn how to socially interact based on what they see around them and what they experience. I don't think that that's really indicative of a symptom of autism. Number 19, visualizes and practices how she will act around others. All I'll say is that you should see me in the drive-through line. It's pretty bad. Practices, rehearses in mind what she will say to another before entering the room. Again, see me in the drive-through line, or, like, on my way to, like, a get-together or a party, or just to hang out with a friend. You should see what I'm like, practicing. I look probably a little crazy. Number 21, difficulty filtering out background noise when talking to others. I never really thought that was an autism thing, because I do have a hearing disorder, actually, that was caused from a very, very bad ear infection when I was really young. So it's, I never really thought of it as, like, an exclusively, like, Asperger's or autism thing, but I guess it could be. And it's just part of, sensory processing. It's central auditory processing disorder. And I feel like there's always been, like, there's been a physical reason for it, not necessarily related to autism. Number 22, has a continuous dialogue in mind that tells her what to say and how to act when in a social situation. Definitely. My inner dialogue is not always very nice to me, honestly. Number 23, sense of humor seems quirky, odd, inappropriate, or different from others. Yeah. Number 24, as a child, it was hard to know when it was her turn to talk. It really wasn't as bad as a kid as it is now. It's kind of opposite for me. It's like, I never really know when I should say something because, like, I don't know how they're gonna react. So, yeah. Number 25, finds norms of conversation confusing. Some of them. Most of them, not really. Number 26, finds unspoken and unwritten rules difficult to grasp, remember, and apply. I'm aware and I'm capable of using abstract thought, and I'm capable of understanding unofficial rules and stuff like that. But it can be really hard for me to understand, like, stuff like that. All right, section F, finds refuge when alone. That's so hard. If I'm, like, around people, like, continually for more than, like, 3 days, I'm probably gonna want to be away from you. I just am. But, like, I like to see people. I like to hang out with people, and I like to talk to people. So, like, I did go through this, and I'm like, sometimes they apply when I'm in those kind of moods, but most of the time they don't. Except for, like, stuff like, I think, like, with the exception of, like, number 9, questions, next steps, and movements continually. I do. Number 10 especially, like, that was always a thing. It's almost like I live on a TV show sometimes. I think that's the best way to explain my brain, because I feel like sometimes it's just like I'm on a TV show and I have to play this part really well. So yeah. So, like, number 10 is sometimes feels as if she's being on stage, being watched, and or a sense of always having to act out the right steps, even when she's home alone. And Number 14 also, but I feel like that applies more when I'm around people, feeling guilty about spending a lot of time on a special interest. Yeah. I'm kind of glad in that I don't feel guilt about a whole lot of things. When it's appropriate, I definitely do feel guilt, but not necessarily of who I am, which took me a really long time. I'll talk about that soon too. Section G. Sensitive. That has been a word to describe me since I was in school. Almost every darn year of school. They always wrote, Elizabeth is a very sensitive child, as my things to improve on, or things like, weaknesses. That was, yeah. Number 1, sensitive to sounds, textures, temperature, and or smells when trying to sleep. Yeah. If it is not the right temperature in my room, I don't do well. I really like to sleep with one particular blanket, and if I don't have it, then I'm probably not going to have the most restful night of sleep. It's that one right there, actually. That's not at all made. Number 2, adjust bedclothes, bedding, and or environment in an attempt to find comfort. Yeah, and what I really like to do with that blanket is I definitely like that pressure of like being hugged or squeezed sometimes. Not all the time, but like when I sleep, I'll wrap my blanket really tight around me or stuff like that. Number 3, dreams are anxiety-ridden, vivid, complex, and or precognitive in nature. I don't really remember many of my dreams, actually. I don't know why. But I know that they tend to be pretty real, the ones that I do remember, so that can be pretty scary. Number 4, highly intuitive to others' feelings. Way too much, sometimes. All the time. Let's just be real. I'm always way too sensitive to how others are feeling, and I let their moods affect my mood. And that can be good sometimes. Like, if I'm not happy and someone else is happy, then I tend to start being happy too. But I definitely take on the emotions of others more than I'm really supposed to. Number 5, highly empathetic, sometimes to the point of confusion. I think that kind of goes hand in hand with number 4. Autistic people don't have a problem with being empathetic. The problem is that there is too much empathy, and it can become so overwhelming that it can be seen as not being empathetic at all, when really we're just trying to make sense of the confusion that comes from having other people's emotions mixing with ours and trying to find their place within ourselves. So remember that. Number 6, takes criticism to heart. Oh yeah, I really do. I think I get better about it as I get older, but I don't know. I don't like to hear the things I do wrong because I already know that I do things wrong. Number 7, longs to be seen, heard, and understood. Yeah. Number 8, questions if she is a normal person. I literally said this to my mom today. Because I had a breakdown earlier. I've been so much stress. I don't really want to talk about it, but like just so much stress with my personal life and my, future career and stuff that it's bleeding into how I'm interacting with other people, and I don't like that. And so I just become withdrawn, or I say the wrong things or whatever, and then I confuse myself even further. And I was telling my mom, like, why can't I just let things go? It's so hard because I can't just be normal, and nobody's gonna really understand it anyway. Literally, yeah, I question if I'm normal a lot. And I know that's like, it's good to not be normal. Why fit in when you were born to stand out? Well, because fitting in is kind of like a survival technique a lot of the times for people with disabilities. It just is. Number 9, highly susceptible to outsiders' viewpoints and opinions. That's really what contributed to a lot of things that I went through, I think, growing up. Number 10, at times adapts her view of life or actions based on others' opinions or words. Really, though. Number 11, recognizes own limitations. I recognize that I don't like my own limitations in many areas daily, if not hourly. If not every second of every minute, of every hour, of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year. Number 12, becomes hurt when others question or doubt her work. Ugh. Really hurt. There's a difference between being curious and being critical. Just keep that in mind. Number 13, views many things as an extension of self. I'm not really sure how I was supposed to interpret that. I feel like autism it's not even really an extension of myself. It is what I am. Thank God for that. By the grace of God, I am what I am. So I don't really know, what they're meaning by that. My phone is not an extension of me. It can seem like that sometimes, which is kind of a problem. But anyway, like physical things I don't really see as an extension of myself. Number 14, fears others' opinions, criticism, and judgment. Yeah, all the time. Number 15, dislikes words and events that hurts animals and people. I really don't like that. The worst is like when they're talking about like kids. I don't do well with that. I get very angry and very upset, and it leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. And so I'm like, don't even like go there. And I don't like when people talk about hurting animals. Number 16, collects or rescues animals, often in childhood. Not really. I mean, I had a thing for collecting like grasshoppers, but that was like everybody in the neighborhood. That's kind of what happens up in spring and summer in North Dakota. They are everywhere. Number 17, huge compassion for suffering, sometimes for inanimate objects / personification. Not for inanimate objects, but definitely when I have friends and family members that are suffering, I feel it intensely too. It's that empathy. Number 18, sensitive to substances, environmental toxins, foods, alcohol, medication, hormones, etc. It depends on what it is. You know, I'm 24, I've been drinking for a little while now. I really don't do it that much. And I kind of am at that point where I understand when I'm about to hit my limit because I don't really want to be drunk. I just don't. But like, yeah, like spicy foods, I cannot handle that. I am so sensitive to that. It hurts. So yeah. Number 19, tries to help, offers unsolicited advice or formalizes plans of action. I do. I am a helper. I am a type 2. That'll be my next video, is I will talk about the Enneagram. I am a type 2 through and through. I am the helper, and I try to help even when it's not really needed, and that can kind of rub people the wrong way. Number 20, questions life purpose and how to be a better person. Yeah, I've been doing that a lot this weekend. That's a big thing of what I've been crying about. I mean, I feel like I'm doing okay now, though. Like, just getting it out of my system is really helpful. And number 21, seeks to understand abilities, skills, and or gifts. Yeah, I do really like to tune in more to my abilities. Like, it's kind of surprising how many things creatively I am good at, like, on the first try. And I think that's been, like, another really big vice of mine, is if I don't get it right on the first try, then I freak out, because it's not that I, expect people to think, oh, she can't do it. It's me thinking, oh, I can never do it. So it can be overdramatic sometimes. Oh my gosh, there's so many sections. I got 3 more, maybe the optional. Well, we'll figure it out. Section H, sense of self. Number 1, feels trapped between wanting to be herself and wanting to fit in. I think everybody with autism and every teenager in the world experiences this all the time. Yeah, it's such a fine balance, because I don't want to be like everybody else, but at the same time I really do, because I feel like I would have fewer struggles that way sometimes. Number 2, imitates others without realizing it. Not really. I think I tend to be pretty aware. I'm like, oh, that's not like who I am. Number 3, suppresses true wishes, often in young adulthood. It really depends, but I think I try to follow my dreams as much as I can. The only dream that I've really had to suppress my true wish is to go to New Zealand, because the reality is they're not going to let anybody go there anytime soon. But I'm trying to I don't really follow my dreams, I follow God's plan, because otherwise I probably wouldn't be where I am. Number 4, exhibits codependent behaviors, often in young adulthood. I'm trying to stop those. I really am. I'm really trying to stop those. But I don't get to that point where I'm like, I can't live without you. I can't be okay without you. Like, I did that a lot more, I think, when I was younger, but not really now. Number 5, adapts self in order to avoid ridicule. Yeah. Number 6, rejects social norms and or questions social norms. And it's not so much that I reject them as that I don't understand them sometimes. But I can usually pick up on them pretty quickly, and I'm okay with it, because I'm it's that survival technique. Number 7, feelings of extreme isolation. That's the theme of 2020. Even when I don't try to be isolated, I am isolated a lot. The hardest part is I live in a 2-bedroom apartment on campus completely by myself, and none of my other friends live on campus. None of them. So it's easy. And I'm not that far from home, but at the same time, I'm like, I need to really focus on what I'm doing here because it's my senior year and I need to put the pedal to the metal and just go. Number 8, feeling good about self takes a lot of effort and work. I was just talking to my friends about this the other day, one of my friends about it, is that it really took me until probably last year before I started really consistently feeling good about myself and feeling confident and sure of who I am. And that still is even kind of touchy, especially with this year being this year. Number 9, switches preferences based on environment and other people. As in like personal preferences of what I'm comfortable with, sometimes like preferences on what I do and don't like as far as like opinions and stuff. I'm pretty solid in those. So number 10, switches behavior based on environment and other people. That I definitely do. That's called masking. But I don't know. At the same time, I'm also really, I don't lie about anything about me. So I can definitely mask in the sense of I hide my struggles really well, or when I'm not feeling super comfortable, I'm pretty good at not letting that show until it gets to the point where it's unavoidable that I'm gonna have a meltdown. So that's pretty healthy. Number 11, didn't care about her hygiene, clothes, and appearance before teenage years and or before someone pointed these out to her. I did. It wasn't really until like, I don't know, college that I kind of realized, oh, you know, it might matter that I put on makeup and that I actually like do my hair. And that, oh, maybe I shouldn't go more than 2 weeks without shaving my legs because dang girl. But then even now I'm like, eh. I do care about it though. I mean, I try to take care of myself. I don't like to feel gross and stuff, so. Number 12, freaks out but doesn't know why until later. Oh, that is my life. I'm like, why did I get so worked up about it? Like, this was me today. I didn't get out of bed for 3 hours after I woke up. I just didn't want to do anything. And I got so upset about that. And so many things running through my mind, I just got so upset about, and I didn't know how to handle it. So I just freaked out. And I texted my mom saying, like, you know, I need to come home. You know, I want to quit. I don't want to do this anymore. Blah, 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 blah. I think that it's just been amplified because of this year. And I know that, you know, talking to other people, I'm not the only one that felt like that. Just wanting to freak out and run away and scream. I am still taking applications for people that want to come with me to scream in an open field though, so hit me up. Number 13, young sounding voice. If I focus on how I sound too much, I definitely notice that like my tend to talk a little bit higher. That's mildly exaggerated, but still. If I like focus too much on how I'm saying things, then I can definitely have a younger sounding voice. Number 14, trouble recognizing what she looks like and or has occurrences of slight prosopagnosia, which is difficulty recognizing and remembering faces. Sometimes I have trouble recognizing what I look like, sometimes, not very often though. And I tend to remember faces really well. It's just sometimes putting names to faces can be a little bit difficult, but I can recognize, I don't think I really have prosopagnosia. Prosopagnosia? Number 15, feels significantly younger on the inside than on the outside. Yeah, constantly. It's like I'm an old soul in a lot of ways, and then in other ways I'm like, there's no way I'm 24 freaking years old. No. So that's probably, yeah, not the best thing, but it is what it is. All right, section I, confusion. Number 1, had a hard time learning that others, I talked about this, that others are not always honest. I had a very, very, very difficult time with that. I think I still do, because I always want to believe that people aren't going to be terrible and lie about things. But they are terrible, and they do lie about things. Number 2, feelings seem confusing, illogical, and unpredictable. Selves and others. Not with others, but definitely more with myself. They can feel illogical and unpredictable. So cute. Number 3, confuses appointment times, numbers, and or dates. No, I actually am one of those people that like, I'm very about making appointment times or like coming to parties at the right time or like coming to hangouts at the right time. I don't like being late, and I make every effort to keep everything in line. Although I think with all of the things that have been changing because of this year, it's definitely been made more difficult for everyone to keep straight everything going on. Like, I didn't know what day it was in October until like Saturday, which was Halloween. I was like, oh, okay, it's the 31st today, cool. So, number 4, expects that by acting a certain way, certain results. This is becoming extremely personal. This is feeling like a personal attack on me. I don't know how much I'm gonna like this. Expects that by acting a certain way, certain results can be achieved, but realizes in dealing with emotions, those results don't always manifest. That's probably why I've lost a lot of my friends, because I think that things should be going a certain way if I'm feeling a certain way and they're feeling a certain way too. And then they don't. And then I get really frustrated and sad and feel extremely inadequate. This is making me learn a lot about myself that I didn't really want to learn about myself. Number 5, spoke frankly and literally in youth. Literally, yeah, definitely. I didn't really completely grasp sarcasm until I was in high school. And even now I still can have a hard time if you're not like overly sarcastic. Like I can be sarcastic for sure, but like I tend to be very obvious in that. Number 6, jokes go over the head. Depends. Usually though, I actually am pretty in tune to that kind of humor. Like I love puns. Those are some of my favorite things. So yeah, but like really long-winded, complicated jokes that like rely on like cultural references, I tend to not understand as easily. Number 7, confused when others ostracize, shun, belittle, trick, and betray. Betrayal has never been an easy thing for me to understand and accept. I really don't still, but it happens, and it's happened a lot. Number 8, trouble identifying feelings unless they are extreme. I think I see that with myself, but not necessarily with others. I think I can recognize, non-extreme emotions. Number 5, I know my numbers. Number 9, trouble with emotions of hate and dislike. Trouble as in I experience them when I shouldn't, probably. Feel like trouble with understanding them? Not really. They should probably be more clear in this. Number 10, feel sorry for someone who has persecuted or hurt her. That's been a good thing and a bad thing. It's been a bad thing because then I just let people keep hurting me over and over because I don't like feelings of discord between me and other people. But I think it's also a good thing because I don't hold grudges. I just don't. I remember things, but I don't use that against people. And I think that's why a lot of my friends, really love me, is because they know that I'm not, whatever mistakes have happened, we're all new creations, so every day is a new opportunity. So, number 11, personal feelings of anger, outrage, deep love, fear, giddiness, and anticipation seem to be easier to identify than emotions of joy, satisfaction, calmness, and serenity. It's hard for me to realize when I'm calm. I don't really feel calm a lot of the time. There are very specific instances. When I'm talking about when I'm going through Bible studies, I tend to be pretty calm. When I'm worshiping, I tend to be pretty calm. When I'm watching my favorite show over and over, my comfort show, which is Bob's Burgers, I tend to be pretty calm. But that's not always, I don't know. I was talking to a friend about that the other day too. And I'm I really just want to keep feeling that because I recognized when I was feeling the peace of God washing over me, and I'm I just want to keep that. I want you to pray for me that I keep that. So, number 12, difficulty recognizing how extreme emotions. There's another one that makes me difficulty recognizing how extreme emotions, outrage, or deep love will affect her and challenges transferring what has been learned about emotions from one situation to the next. That literally just told my entire life story. That told everything about how I interact with people and how I interact with myself. There you go. Show's over, folks, I guess. No, I want to get through the rest of these. I need to switch my laundry. I probably should switch my laundry. I'll do that later. Number 13, situations and conversations sometimes perceived as black or white. I think when I was younger, it was definitely more the case, but now I think a lot of the world right now is a gray area. There are a few instances, there are definite instances of, black and white, but I feel like a lot of this world is so gray that there tend to be exceptions for a lot of things that would normally be black or white. That I'm pretty glad about, that I don't see things as one or the other in that way. Other things I definitely do, and that causes me problems. Number 14, the middle spectrum of outcomes, events, and emotions is sometimes overlooked or misunderstood. All or nothing mentality. Yeah. Number 15, oh my god. Number 15 and 16 are also extremely all about me. A small fight might signal the end of a relationship or collapse of the world. And number 16, a small compliment might boost her into a state of bliss. I kind of thrive off of compliments. That's not a really good thing, but I mean, it is what I don't know. I don't need them to sustain myself, but it feels really dang good when someone tells me they love me or compliments me on things I do well or how good of a friend I am or how pretty I am. Like that makes me feel pretty good. I think it makes everybody feel good though. Everyone should get more compliments in this world. All right, last section. This has been a long one. I've actually divided these up because the first one I stopped at about 25 minutes in because my timer for the laundry was about to go off. And so now the second part is an hour in, but I can't really record on my computer right now because the camera is like a potato and I'm really not in the mood to spend money on a webcam. All right, so section J, words, numbers, and patterns. Number 1, likes to know word origins and or origin of historical facts / root cause and foundation. That is actually pretty interesting to me. Like, what is it called? Not entomology, that's bugs. Etymology? Now I have to Google this. It is etymology. Yeah, I liked etymology in that way. And I tend to get those Jeopardy questions right too, so that's kind of cool. I like to know them, but it's not something I obsess about. Number 2, confused when there is more than one meaning or spelling to a word. Not really. As long as I know the meanings, I don't really get them confused. And context matters and everything. Number 3, high interest in songs and song lyrics. Music is the instrument, no pun intended, that drives me forward in life. That sounded so corny. So sorry about that. Number 4, notices patterns frequently. I do. I've actually realized that. I definitely see patterns a lot more quickly than I think other people do. I look for patterns in a lot of things, and when I find them, I get excited. Number 5, remembers things in visual pictures. Yeah, I think that Temple Grandin explained that once before, that she thinks more in terms of pictures than anything else. And I think that I tend to also. Diagrams, I look at things in pictures and categories, and not too much, I can understand abstract concepts, but I only really understand them through concrete, visual, audible cues, if that makes any sense. Number 6, remembers exact details about someone's life. I can be really good at it, but under times, like a lot of stress, I tend to be kind of forgetful about it. So I'll have a friend, I had a friend tell me about her job, that she wasn't working at this place anymore and now she was nannying. And I knew that. I just couldn't think of that because I saw her Snapchat stories all the time of her with the kids she nannies. Why would I not know that? Come on, Beth. Number 7, has a remarkable memory for certain details. That, yeah, for sure. I definitely have a good memory with certain details. Not all of them. Number 8, writes or creates to relieve anxiety. I sew, and I just picked up embroidery, and I paint, and play the ukulele, and I do, especially anything, with my hands that creates something else, that makes an end product, I love doing because it makes me think only about that task at hand and not the anxieties that I'm facing right now. So that's another reason I started this YouTube channel, is so I can talk these out and have something to create for other people, if anybody will ever watch these. And then number 10, words and or numbers bring a sense of comfort and peace akin to a friendship. I feel that way with Bible verses for sure. And just some other quotes. A lot of them bring me a lot of comfort, and they can feel like peace or friend when I don't have any. All right, so I guess I'll just go ahead and do that last section. My laundry was done an hour ago. I hope nobody took it out. I really hope nobody took it out and messed with it. All right, optional, executive functioning and motor skills. So these are ones that I struggled with when I was younger, but I did occupational therapy, physical therapy, and I really definitely got better at that. Practice makes perfect in a lot of these things. Number 1, simple tasks can cause extreme hardship. Sometimes. Not a lot, though. Number 2, learning to drive a car or rounding the corner in a hallway can be troublesome. That I am actually a very good driver. I don't brag about myself a lot, but I'm a very good driver. I have never been in an accident, knock on wood, that was my fault. But no, I'm a very careful driver, and it's always been easy for me to understand that. And I, talking about things being an extension of me, I see the vehicle as an extension of my emotions. So in that way, I'm a really good driver. But rounding the corner in a hallway, that could be really scary. Like, I tend to be on like a freaking straightway course, and if I get stopped, it kind of is like, oh, like I get scared. So that can be kind of troublesome. Number 3, new places offer their own set of challenges. Depends on the place, I think. I don't really have any good examples of it right now. I just want this to be done. No, I'm having fun. Number 4, anything that requires a reasonable amount of steps, dexterity, or know-how can rouse a sense of panic. Sometimes. I don't know. I don't really see it in myself, but I'm wondering maybe other people see it in me. Number 5, the thought of repairing, fixing, or locating something can cause anxiety. Repairing and fixing, like, I can untangle, like, knots and cords super well. It's kind of weird how good I am at it. Like, and I do it, and I enjoy it because I can do it, like, it just makes sense to me. I like to see how things fall apart and come back together. I've always really liked that. But as far as locating something, that can cause anxiety if I don't know 100% the answer of where it is, like what I'm trying to find, like where it is. Number 6, mundane tasks are avoided. It depends on the mundane task. Laundry, for example. I hate laundry. That is the worst chore to ever have been invented. If I could just like snap my fingers and all of my clothes would be clean, I would never have half of the stress about cleaning a house as I would. But it's always laundry. You can never stop laundry. It's not even like washing and drying them. It's actually like folding them and putting them away when you know they're just gonna be taken out of that spot again. I have a basket of folded laundry right next to my feet that I like folded them in the basket and I was gonna put them away. And that was like 3 weeks ago. Maybe 2. My days are all running together. Number 7, cleaning self and home may seem insurmountable. Why do you think I didn't do laundry for 2 weeks? Number 8, many questions come to mind when setting about to do a task. Yeah, I think in some ways. Number 9, might leave the house with mismatched socks, shirt and button incorrectly, and or have dyslexia and or dysgraphia. I feel like those don't really relate to each other in the way that is obvious. But I don't have dyslexia, I don't have dysgraphia, and I don't like mismatched socks. That is one of my like sensory things, honestly, because like even like if the socks have like the same color on the outside, if they're not the same like style, I instantly notice and I instantly get very irritated. So I don't like mismatched socks at all. I tend to notice pretty quickly like if I don't button a shirt correctly or if my clothes are on backwards. I notice that pretty quickly usually. So number 10, a trip to the grocery store can be overwhelming. Depends on how many groceries I need to get. Like when I like first move in to an apartment and I have to get all those groceries like just to set up, like to get started, that can be really overwhelming because it takes hours. But like just general trips to the grocery store, like if it's just, I only have to get like less than 20 items, I really don't. It's really not a big deal. It's clothes shopping that really gets to me because I like clothes shopping, but then I don't. It sounds fun in theory. Number 11, trouble copying dance steps, aerobic moves, or direction in a sports gym class. See, I did dance for a little bit when I was in like sophomore, junior year, but like I have never been able to do an a la secant. Never been able to do that. I had really good technique with like needles and splits and arabesques and pirouettes. And like pas de bourrées and like other like steps, like stuff like that. I don't know. That's so many French terms and I don't even know what half of them mean. But in any case, yeah, some of them I could never figure out how to do. And others are kind of easy for me. And I tend to do it with such intensity that it doesn't even really look like I don't know what I'm doing, even if I really don't. I am confident in those mistakes. And number 12, the last one. Has a hard time finding certain objects in the house, but remembers with exact clarity where other objects are. That is like the theme of growing up in my house. Like I seem to know exactly where I left, what was it, like an empty water bottle. I was like, yeah, I rolled under my bed, like, and it's on the far right corner next to the, like under my bed next to probably a candy wrapper or something or whatever. But then I can't find my keys, or I like can't find my phone that's sitting right next to me, which is stupid. Not being able to locate something or thinking about locating something can cause feelings of intense anxiety, even with something as simple as opening an envelope. Nah. Oh, that was a lot. Yeah, so now you know a little bit about what a checklist might look like. If you suspect that you might have autism, you know, later on in life, and you might be a late diagnosis, like, if you're curious about it, I would go through that checklist. It's also really interesting when you know you already have autism and, like, you're like, wow, okay, yeah, this is me. For better or for worse. I'll link that in the description. And unsponsored shout out to Crowns and Thorns Co. on Etsy for it. This amazing sweatshirt. It is so comfortable. I wear it all the time. So I'll link that in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.